Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to DeProgram with Ted Rall and John. Seems to we're continuing to cover the Renee Good shooting, as well as the ongoing aftermath and all the blowback from basically ISIS surge against the people of Minneapolis and the Minneapolis suburbs. France, Germany, and other European countries are rushing a small symbolic number of troops to Greenland as a show of force against, a horrible, disgusting, threatening, bullying invader. That would be us. But even some lickspittle Republicans are sort of rhetorically, kind of, maybe, probably not pushing back against an invasion. María Corina Machado, the extreme right politician, not that you would hear anything about her politics in the American media, gave her Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump. We'll talk about that. And I'm sure, Scott, you'll have thoughts about all of these, but also Israel and the U.S. have announced that the ceasefire in Gaza, which hasn't been, there hasn't been much fire that has been ceased, is now entering phase 2. And that even despite the fact that there's shooting still going on and Palestinians are still getting killed, the Board of Peace is meeting in Egypt to basically have a bunch of technocrats run what's left of Gaza. As always, please like, follow, and share the show. For those of you who are regular listeners, yesterday we brought you up to date on the latest with YouTube. It appears to be completely fixed, so we continue to accept your donations. Everything, John and I are going to get the funds. It's bureaucracy, and it's a very poorly run website, and Robbie and I will debate as to whether that's a bug or a feature of their system, so that they don't have to pay anyone. Basically, we have donations and money, from the ads and stuff, and they basically, we see the money waiting there, which we would love to have because we're broke, and we and then it's like, and it's really hard to figure out like what we need to do to get it. It's like, well, you have to fill out this form. Well, we filled out that form. You have to do this form again, but we did that form again. Oh, and then it's like buried deep inside, we're going to need this other thing. So we sent the other thing.
So it's like the French bureaucracy is what this is.
It is like the French bureaucracy. So we will get into that. A little other housekeeping for people who are familiar with Jamal Thomas and his show. He's a friend of the show. I've appeared many times. We used to be partners at Sputnik together, colleagues, I should say. We didn't have the same show, but we were on each other's shows a lot. Anyway, Jamal had a stroke, or a mini stroke, depending on how you define it. He is back from Europe, and he's back stateside. He's getting the medical attention he needs. If you want to search him up, he's got a 6-minute video on YouTube that explains where he's at. I've been texting him. I think he's in better shape than he thinks he is. I think he was really shaken, but he sounds and looks better than you would expect. And so he says the show will go on. I believe that, and I look forward to being on his show and helping out any way I can. And I've offered him that assistance, and I hope he takes me up on it. Okay, so that all said, we're going to, as usual, Scott, you've done this before.
Yes.
We are going to get into the questions from the viewers and listeners. Put those into the YouTube or the Rumble chat if you're watching live, and Scott and I will get to pretty much all of them unless we run out of time, and we will in between fill in and bring you up to speed on what's going on in our thoughts about the situation in Minneapolis, which I think is quite grave.
It is very grave. The mayor of Minneapolis yesterday evening announced that there's now over 3,000 ICE agents in Minneapolis,
and only like 600 cops.
Is that right?
Yeah, the ICE force radically outnumbers the number of police. So even if we were going to go head to head with an epic the ultimate states' rights versus federal power showdown, ICE has the decided advantage, even though they're a bunch of retards.
Yeah, remember when Republicans used to be against states' rights or for states' rights and all, for local control and.
Yeah, well, everything is context, Scott. Like, it's like protesters. If your protester is in Tehran, you love him and you'll declare war against the country that's trying to kill him. If your protester is in Minneapolis, you're trying to kill him.
Yeah, it all makes sense now. Thank you, Ted.
Always trying to be cheery. Okay, so we'll get
preposterous.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about it, right? Okay,
yeah.
So basically, some of the developing stories, the latest analysis of Renee Good's body shows that she was actually struck not 3 times but 4 times. She took 4 shots, and also there's new polling out that indicates that the majority of the American people are still in favor of immigration enforcement, but opposed to ICE and its tactics.
Yes.
Not surprising. That seems very American, and in that sense, I agree with them. Also, the ICE shot another dude. They claimed that he was a threat. However, he was running away when they shot him. So he was fleeing, which, normally when people are fleeing, it's kind of the definition of not a threat. But
yeah, well,
the very definition.
Yeah, the old-fashioned notions of threats.
They're more of a threat if they're standing still. Let's put that into context, right?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah,
anyway,
they shot the guy in the leg.
Yeah, they shot him in the leg, and then also, and then 2 really gross things, as if this wasn't already a really gross story. ICE is now targeting daycare centers. They are going to daycare centers throughout the Minneapolis metro area and arresting caregivers. So then the kids whose parents are at work have nowhere to go, and they're trying to see if there's any undocumented children that they can detain as well. So that's charming. And then, and as part of making friends, they also tear gassed a family of 6. Basically, this family was not related to the protests or to the ICE raids, and they are U.S. citizens. They're driving along. They come across an ICE kerfluffle. They're like, oh God, I got to get out of here. They're trying to turn. ICE guys surround them and say, you got to get out of here. And they're like, that's what we're trying to do. And then the dinguses drop a tear gas grenade under their car. And then the blast is so intense that the airbags deploy. So all the people, the kids and the parents are stuck inside. 2 of them have severe asthma and almost died. Now, so that they're real charmers, these like hillbilly ICE guys. So that's basically that's the rough. I mean, and of course, Trump is invoking the Insurrection Act, which he can do. I mean, yeah, there's no insurrection, but it wouldn't stop him. There was no insurrection in Los Angeles during the LA riots, but that was certainly more understandable. Scott, you are muted. Please demute. There you are. You are demuted. Scott, I still can't hear you.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
There you go. There you
go. Yeah, I like to call the Proud Boy Employment Agency, or ICE. I mean, you see these guys, and they're hiring worse and worse people. I mean, worse in terms of physical shape, in terms of mental acuity. Their training is nominal. Even if you support, this kind of ham-handed and heavy-handed enforcement of immigration laws, these aren't the guys to do it. I mean, it's absurd. It's becoming a force. Ted, you've warned about this for a while. I agree with you. And it really does play into my conservative thoughts as well, is that the government is the threat to your liberty. Now, what could be a bigger threat than an armed force of morons who are beholden to an idea and who clearly don't know what they're doing, but they're
the Vice President says they have absolute immunity. That's a quote.
Yeah, which of course they don't. But if the federal government thinks that they do, that means that there's not going to be any prosecution for things like, shooting people who are trying to leave, shooting people in the back. all of this just flies in the face of, if you're a real conservative, if you're a true, you look at this and it makes you very, very, very nervous, because it just confirms everything that conservatives like myself have been saying for decades, that the biggest threat to your liberty is the federal government. That's why we want to limit it. That's why the founding fathers wanted to limit that power. And now all of a sudden you have an armed force that potentially could be the biggest armed force on the planet, by the way, if current trends continue.
Bigger than the armies of most countries. And I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, so I just drew a cartoon for next week about this topic, about ICE, and so here's the thing, right? Like, I always joke that the last thing that the American Cancer Society wants is for cancer to be cured, because then what? We all have to go out and get new jobs. I mean, that could be unfair. Maybe they would love that. I don't know. That's just my joke. But one thing that is true is that, ICE one day might deport the last undocumented illegal immigrant in the United States. That could happen. And when they do, are they going to say, are they going to throw a big party and say, what a job well done. We have secured our borders. Let's go home now. It's been a pleasure working with you. Now we'll go back to our, and take a 90% pay cut or 100% pay cut and be, underemployed and unemployed. I mean, Scott, this is a job where there's already been, some 18 and 19-year-olds who are getting $200,000 a year working for ICE. Now, these are people who often don't have even a GED. Okay, so no high school degree, 18 years old. They don't pass the literacy test. They can't read or write English. One of the guys they hired is 459 pounds. Okay, so these are not, like, let's just say, the most employable people.
Not the creme de la creme.
I don't know about you, Scott, but if I had a job like that, I'd hold on to it with like Charlton Heston's grip on my gun. I would not let it go, right? Like, it's like I'd keep that job no matter what. I would also love my bosses and my employers to death, and I would do anything they wanted. And if they said, well, now that we've deported all the illegals, maybe we have something else, some other people for you to go after. You and I know this is what history teaches us. I mean, it's like these things, bureaucracy. I mean, as we learned even in the era of Doge, all those Doge people who got fired, almost all of them are going to end up being forcibly rehired. You can't really, once you build a bureaucracy, that's it. It's harder to get rid of than herpes, right? I mean, these guys aren't going away. ICE will be with us. And I know some liberal Democrats who are watching this show are going to say, well, if we elect good Democrats, good progressives, they'll get rid of it. No, they won't. They won't. Because ICE will go to meet with the new Democratic president and will say, President Stantis, we really, first of all, we appreciate you moving over to the Democratic Party. And also, we really, you don't know. I mean, the right wingers could try to take over the country. We've got to be ready. We've got to have this. You can't just put them back in their box. We wouldn't be able to stand them up quickly enough if we had another crisis. We've got to keep our borders secure. We've got to keep these guys working. That's how this works. Not to mention, it's like if you fire them, it's going to hurt the economy because it's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of federal workers. Well, if they lose their jobs and they spend all that time at the Army Navy store buying surplus gear. That's a lot of money generating, that's a lot of economic activity you're going to put an end to. I mean, I'm not even really kidding.
No, the Army Navy surplus stores need this.
They do.
We're going to defend them. To your point, Ted, I was out to lunch a few years ago, and the SWAT team, I'm not making this up, the SWAT team for the city of Hoover, Alabama, Hoover, like the vacuum cleaner.
Yes.
We're out, and these are jacked up. I mean, like obviously steroided to the gills guys. The uniform, the shaved head, the
hillbilly beard. They all want to think they're in SEAL Team 6, right? That's their deal.
Well, yeah, these guys didn't have beards, but they did have the 2 sizes too small T-shirts that apparently they go.
That's not gay at all.
barely gave. But my point is that do we really need a SWAT team in Hoover, Alabama? If there is a SWAT situation, can they not say, the bigger city to the north, Birmingham, say, hey, Birmingham, we have a situation. Can you lend us your SWAT team? Because they
Indeed,
won't
they
be
could.
doing anything. But
Right.
these guys, so this couple, the ice, the explosion in the size of ice, coupled with the president threatening to use the Insurrection Act, which he seems to like. This is a president who truly loves the late 19th century. I mean, I've come to the conclusion now. He loves, he gilds everything. The White House looks like a French whorehouse now. Couple that with our imperialism, which apparently we've got the new imperialism because we're going after Greenland and maybe other countries. Who knows? Couple
Scott,
that,
like someone on Reddit dug up one of my old cartoons from '03.
Okay.
And it was like it was a cartoon about like ridiculous expansionism, and I had Bush invading the silliest country he could possibly invade, which was Greenland.
Well, it's and to finish the thought, imperialism was in vogue in the last part of the 19th century. We went to war effectively with Spain over it, and ended up with the Philippines and Cuba and Guam, Midway, a lot of islands in the Pacific. This should send a chill. And that's
Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah, Puerto Rico, which we still have.
Cuba for a while, and then Guantanamo Bay now.
Yeah. So, and now couple that with having a massive armed force, domestic force, which is so anti-American, I can't believe it.
That's right. And I mean, the thing is, so a heavy plurality of Americans who are Republicans still basically are in favor of this ridiculousness. 50% of Republicans think it's okay to invade Greenland, and about 40% of Republicans are still okay with what ICE is doing. I mean, I do have to ask. I mean, look, and by the way, you and I have criticized, I've been brutal to Democrats under Democratic rule, but right now they don't have any rule. So it's like it's the GOP that's in charge. So they're the ones who, we're going to be talking about. Where is their forget about patriotism. Where's their understanding of what this country is and is supposed to be?
Oh, it doesn't exist. I think that, I think the election of Donald Trump, especially in 2016, I've spoken to this before, and I'll speak to it again because I sound like a sad old man because, well, I am on this score. And that's in terms of civics and in terms of understanding what the United States is, we're held together by an idea. It's not like a long, centuries long history, although we're celebrating our 250th this year. But we don't have what France has, what Germany has, what Italy has, what England has, to that kind of cohesion of millenniums being together. So what holds us together is an idea and ideals, and all of those went out the window in 2016. Everything we thought to be true, everything we thought to be, here's the paradigm. When this happens, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that this is wrong. As Americans, this is what we believe. We don't believe that stuff anymore, Ted. It's not being taught much anymore either, to be fair.
Right. And it's also, I mean, I think Trump is as much of a symptom as a cause of these problems. Yes. I mean, and also obviously, our constitutional rights have been abrogated slowly over time.
It started in 2000,
has started stealing, congressional war powers, 180 years ago, right? And it just basically has gotten worse and worse. Yeah, 2000, I think, is key. I think 2000 is really crucial. Torture, the stuff that, John helped expose, that he did expose. And,
God bless him.
And, the NSA stuff that Snowden exposed. I mean, the thing is, to me, the thing that's surprising is not the fact that the government was up to no good or is up to no good, or that it all came to light or all comes to light. That's easy to understand. What's not easy to understand is why the American people aren't more uniformly pissed off about it and willing to do something.
Yeah, and they were. If you remember back in the 70s, they had the Church Committee, Frank Church from I want to say, oh gosh, Idaho, Iowa, one of the I states.
Mm.
Anyway, had hearings for the CIA and their domestic spying and domestic shenanigans, shall we say? And Americans were aghast. Many, some, and there was always that group that said, "Hey, what's the big deal? They're just defending us against
wrong. You have nothing to worry about."
Right. And so, but the revelations from there are weak tea compared to what's happened since 2000. You and I were one of the few cartoonists, if I may, you from one perspective, me from another, who really were screaming bloody murder at the erosion of civil liberties. And how many times were you told all the world? Well,
Scott,
the
we have
fact is,
lots of questions backed up. We should take.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, let's. All right, thanks for your questions, and please put them in the YouTube chat. Let me poke in Robbie here just for a second. Robbie is blacked out here inexplicably. Robbie, do we have an ad?
1 second, my internet is cutting in. All right,
you take care of that. Let me know. Okay, we all know what that's like. Okay, so Elliot Covert, between foreign insanity and democratic backsliding, what are the odds of the United States remaining in NATO over the next decade? It's a good question.
Well, if we invade Greenland, then not at all, because we've just invaded a member of NATO. And as Ted mentioned in the when we came in, the news is that Germany and who else? France is sending. Is sending, token
Sweden,
troops.
Norway. Yeah, I think they sent as 28 troops as Robbie said, like as if 28 troops is going to stop Trump. Look, here's the thing. It could, though. It's not that those 28 troops are going to repel them militarily, but
no, but if you kill
it's
them,
like you can't hurt them. You can't. Yeah. It's like they're human shields.
Yeah, but Greenland's awfully damn big. We could land pretty much anywhere. I mean, it's a big.
We already have a military base there. We have a.
Stay with me on this. This is why this is so mind-boggling, and it really comes back to the Trump loving the late 19th century. This is imperialism. And you've mentioned this, I'm sure, before several times on the show. Denmark has signed a treaty with the United States in terms of Greenland, saying effectively, okay, let me put this the crudest but easiest way to understand it, Ted. Denmark has a hot wife and has looked at the United States and says, you can do anything you want to her, anything. And we're Jake with that, but she's still our wife. That she comes home to us when you're done with all your horrible, nefarious things that you've done to her. And Trump is saying, no, I want to marry her. I wanted to be. And it's just like, why? You can literally do anything.
Have your way.
They say you can build as many bases here as you want. You can have as many ships, as many troops, as many anythings here as you
desire.
Why are we doing this? And is this a feint? Is this?
The Greenlanders can't even really get around in their own country, right? Or in their own territory. I mean, people don't understand this. There are no highways in Greenland. So, for example, if you want to go from Nuuk, which is the provincial capital, the territorial capital, to another city in Greenland, you can wait for the sea to thaw and take a boat, or you can fly, which is what most people do. That's it. They can't even drive from one place to the next. So they're not really in a great position to, hop in tanks and roll around and defend themselves from the Americans.
So let's get into the deep. Let's get into the dark web here. What's actually going on? Because as I just described it, and it's an accurate description, we can do anything we want. Mm-hmm. Our treaty with Denmark is we can effectively do anything we want. Anything.
Yeah.
Why is Trump doing this? Is this just a distraction from Epstein? Is it that simple?
Well,
is it a distraction from the terrible economy?
Everything's a distraction from Epstein. When he wakes up in the morning, he's like, let's do something and distract from Epstein. But look, I think that the problem is I mean, Scott, that's the $64,000 question, right? Nobody knows what's on Trump's mind. Is this his usual maximalist negotiating style, where he's like, I ask for everything, and then it callous people, and they feel lucky to get off with less than everything. That's just his negotiating. We know that's his negotiating style, right? Like, I'm going to come and kill you all. I take it, whatever I want, nothing you can do. Or in other words, is it a bluff? It's very Hitlerian. Supposedly he had a copy of Hitler's speeches, but also he probably never read those speeches.
He doesn't read.
But I mean, Hitler was a big bluffer, right? Like in the early 1930s, when he remilitarized the Saar Valley in Western Germany and against the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, when he went into Czechoslovakia, but even before that, I mean, all these moves, remilitarizing Germany was against the terms of the Versailles Treaty. Now, the thing is, later, toward the end of the war, toward the end of his life, he confessed in private that if the French and the Brits had decided to enforce the Versailles Treaty, he said he would have been dead within 3 days, hanging from a lamppost in Berlin. They would have there was no way to stop them. Germany didn't have any military. It was a bluff. He said this was like a triumph of the will, to coin a phrase. Basically, he bluffed them. They didn't come in. That gave him the time that he needed to rearm, right? That's kind of like, so is Trump bluffing or not? Nobody knows. And that's the thing, is like, you can argue that even bluffing to this extent is reckless and dangerous. And, I think it is. But, we don't know. We don't know what's going on between those two orange ears of his. Anyway, no. Elliot Covert. Also, 3 or 4 generations of Europeans have been free riders on American defense spending. Are they capable of abandoning their welfare states and rearming? Probably not, because their economies aren't doing well as it is, and they fucked themselves up by, for example, blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, and energy prices went way up, and it fucked up their economies. But I mean, here's the thing. My question is, do they need to? Who's threatening Europe, really? I mean, you and I have different views on this, but really, I don't think there's any world in which Russia is invading even Eastern, much less Central or Western Europe. Not to mention, a lot of these countries are nuclear powers. Like, really? You think Vladimir Putin's going to take on France? Be serious.
No, but I do think he's going to. There are parts to his western border. Eastern
Scott, your sound is a little muffled. I don't know why.
Oh, gosh, I just love that this thing tends to... there we go. Sorry, give me one moment.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I'll fill up the air a little bit, which is what I'm good at doing.
Is that better?
Oh, there you go. That's much better. Thank you. And okay, Robbie, if we have an ad, please let me know.
Halfway through,
do have an
halfway
ad.
through these things.
Oh, he says, okay, we should skip it. He says, you want to skip the ad, or do you want to do it?
No,
no, my internet's really flaky right now. If it goes down mid ad, that could be bad.
Oh, okay. All right. You know best. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So
sorry about that. No, I'm sorry. This for some reason, this thing decides to switch to my iPhone microphone halfway through, like, our podcast. It's the weirdest damn thing. So now I'm back.
Well, so the question is, can the Europeans afford to? No.
Yes.
But here's the thing. It's kind of like, it's sort of like, can Ted Rall afford a new Tesla? No, but Ted Rall doesn't need a new Tesla. Ted Rall has an old car, and it's fine. And right now, like, NATO is perfectly fine with the weapons they have. They could do with less than what they have. They don't need them. No one's coming to attack them. It's like there's a photo that I have of, like, so remember a few years ago when there was the FEMA accidentally sent a notice to everyone in Hawaii saying that a nuclear attack was coming, and then later there's these highway signs that went up that just said, there is no threat. I want to put that sign all over America. There is no threat. We can put it in Europe too.
Well, to your point, and we can roll back to Greenland. Trump's selling point is that if we don't take it, Russia or China will. And it's just going, China? China?
China's not a. I think Americans like to conflate threat and rival.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott, you and I are rivals in cartooning. We both apply for the same prizes. We would both like to be in the same newspapers, but you're not a threat to me, nor I to you. We're rivals. China does not have any interest in hurting us. They just want to make a lot of money.
Well, they don't mind hurting our economy, which means, and they don't mean disrupting.
Actually, I don't really think they do want that. Think about how much debt. Think about how much of our debt that they own. If we tanked and all those treasury bonds and notes were suddenly worthless overnight, they'd be fucked.
Well, that's just a few $1 trillion here and there between friends. And their expansionists in the South China Sea. I mean, building islands and things of that nature. You can't dismiss China as a threat, but are they a threat to Greenland? I would say no. Now, is Russia a threat to Europe? I'd say Europe as a whole. Ted, you're probably right, but parts of Europe. This guy seems to want to get the band together. The Ukraine incursion didn't go as planned. It wasn't the blitzkrieg that Putin had hoped for. But I think he's definitely. I mean, people in the Baltic states are definitely scared shitless today because they think they're next on the list.
And I'm scared shitless of spiders, but it doesn't mean that I'm right.
Yes, it does. Actually, you are never more.
For me.
You are never more than 20 feet away from a spider. Did you know that?
Yeah, I believe that actually. And they be coming for me. And they bite you too. You get the 2 little fang marks in the morning.
Oh yeah, no, I woke up one time, I had one in my face. It's just like puffed up.
Yeah. I've had them on my face too.
And I didn't have superpowers afterwards, which sucked.
By the way, you have to tell me if this is true. I had a girlfriend who lived in Phoenix, and she claimed that one morning she woke up and there was a tarantula mound in her yard.
Yeah.
That's a thing?
Oh yeah.
I told her that this is where, at the time I was estranged from my father. We get along now. And he was, he had top security clearance. I was like, you should have my father call out an airstrike on your house. I mean, that seems like the only, quote, aliens. Best to be sure. Better to nuke the planet.
Quick story, and we'll get to the quick story, and we'll get to the questions. We were having like a little barbecue in the backyard with friends, and my youngest son, who was at the time, I think about 1.5 years, 2 years old, comes walking up and holding something in the palm of his hand. It was a tarantula.
Awesome.
He picked it up, and the tarantula happily did not bite him, but he had a new pet.
Well, anyway. I bet he was so unafraid that the spider wasn't afraid of him. Really?
Yeah. No, it was really
That's cool, actually. Yeah. Greg Battis, on the countdown screen, you should add links to Robbie Aid and merch. Yes, and just because of that remark, I will put the Robbie Aid link up right now.
There it is.
Are we afraid that the next step, Alex is asking, will be an ultimatum? Choose which country you serve, no double citizenships. Well, John has double citizenship, and that question was partly for him. And I have dual citizenship. And yeah, I'm afraid of that. Scott, you and I've talked about that. I mean, I got to tell you right now, my instinct, and I'm not Alec Baldwin. I don't bluff. My instinct, and I don't think, look, no one's going to care if I leave the United States at all. The only effect of this is that I'll be eating better food and drinking cheaper wine. But like, I think if they make us choose dual, one or the other, I'd have to choose France because of the fact that they're making me choose. France doesn't make me choose. It's kind of like that. It's an abusive relationship at that point.
What country is John?
Greece.
Okay. Opa.
That's easy for you. Easy for you to say. Good morning from the Minnesota war zone, from Katie Catastrophe. Just another day of 1940s Germany over here. I would love to have you on to talk about it.
That'd be
Elliot
great.
Covert, do we ever look at, you and I, Scott, ever look at political cartoons from the 1800s? Seems like a lot of effort went into political cartooning in those days.
Yes. Oh, they're beautiful. Look at Punch. Kepler, I believe was his name, was the publisher, and was an opponent, not an opponent, but a competitor with Thomas Nast. And it's beautiful work, but that Punch came out very strongly against imperialism. That was the issue. So yeah, you're absolutely right. They were gorgeous, and they were on lithograph. Was this lithograph stones, Ted?
Yeah.
And oh my,
or copper plate, right?
Well, some of them were, and the guys, the unsung heroes of 19th century art, Ted, are the guys who carved the wood blocks and the copper plates. Because like Thomas Nast would do a cartoon and send it in.
Yeah. And
But
some
then
other dude has to like use acid to
and
like make it happen.
also little knives at the time to do the engraving part for the copper plate. And just like these guys were remarkable artists and totally unsung.
And there's no one who, honestly, you could like put out a search and offer $10 million a year for someone to do that. No one can do that now.
No. And these, like I said, these guys they remind me a lot of like Hemingway's. There's a book that came out recently of Hemingway's editor. And this is silent. And which the editor at his publisher did remarkable work. Hemingway would send in like literally a box full of crumpled paper.
Yeah, that's a lot of those big authors were like that.
Yeah.
And like the editors really kind of were co-authors, right?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
Sherwood Anderson, one of my favorite writers, I've seen a lot of his manuscripts, and it's like you describe. It's not even that they're like hard to follow. You've seen the old manuscripts where, you know, a typed paragraph was cut out with scissors and then taped to the side of something with an arrow, like this goes here.
Sure.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking like literally shit's full of misspellings and grammatical errors. It's like, you know, it's retard style. It's not written very well.
Yeah.
And then some like, you know, probably 42-year-old Vassar graduate, old spinster, like wrote it and made it pretty, you know?
Well, this editor worked with both Hemingway and Fitzgerald and cobbled their copy into something comprehensible and beautiful. And he finally is getting the credit he deserves, but he didn't get any credit then.
All right, let's get more questions. McKenna 308, what are your thoughts on the FBI search on the Washington Post reporter's home?
It's disgusting. It was designed for the same reason that ICE is designed, to send a chill down the spine of reporters, and it's not unheard of. I sent it to Ted the other night.
It has happened before. Yeah,
it has happened before, but it's still the purpose is clear here.
Yeah, well, when it's happened before, it was also disgusting.
Yeah, and so.
But that's because reporters aren't really protected under the law. We don't have a federal shield law protecting reporters. Should not have to reveal their sources. They should be like Catholic priests. Catholic priests do not have to reveal what they hear in the confessional, and nor should a journalist. I mean, any good journalist is like, fuck you, send me to prison. That's what I would do.
Well, I thought the courts had ruled in the 70s, especially when Nixon was going after the press in a big, bad way. They'd ruled that, yes, you can defend your sources, and reporters went to jail. Some of them for an uncomfortable long time. Yeah, an uncomfortable. And I think, yeah, there should be a
it
shield
fucked up
law.
Roger Mudd's career. He was first in line to take over after the retirement of Walter Cronkite at CBS News. But while he was cooling his heels fighting the feds, Dan Rather kind of like got the drop on him.
Remember Dan Rather's sweater vests?
I do. And do you remember him sneaking into Afghanistan during the it was basically late night. It was Gen X Andy Rooney is the best way to describe it. 5 to 7 minute segments. I have them on VHS, and
Wow.
I
Next
always
time I
think
come
about
up your way, I'll have to come take a look. I didn't know that.
I have them on VHS.
Did you have any viewers?
It was the joke we used to say was more security guards get their news from ABC News now than any other source.
More bakers.
Anyway, he was he was a very nice and very collegial person too.
Oh, see, that's great. But I mean, we at the 88, and then I ran into Andy Rooney. Did you ever notice that that guy? What a dick. He was
a curmudgeon.
Unpleasant.
He was very uncomfortable in his own skin too. But speaking of badasses, he was on the fucking beach at D-Day.
As a reporter?
As a reporter. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's a lethal guy. That's why he probably survived, because nothing hit him. He's not like the ice guys; they'd be dead immediately. The boat would sink. Flanderina wants to know: did we see that the Court of Appeals has overturned the ruling in favor of Mahmoud Khalil? Yes, Mahmoud Khalil being, of course, the Columbia University I was going to say grad student, but he graduated from the school with a master's degree from Columbia. He's got a green card, and he's got an American-born wife, and he has an American-born baby. And his case has bounced around the court. I guess this now goes to the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm terrified how they're going to rule. Basically, the precedent is that Mahmoud Khalil would be effectively sort of semi-denaturalized, stripped of his permanent residency status simply for criticizing Israel and using his First Amendment right to protest non-violently at Columbia University. I find that terrifying.
Yeah, and this court is not a friend to civil liberties.
No.
And as I mentioned at the top of the show, I am a friend to civil liberties. And so which court threw it out? Do you have it there?
This isn't a federal appeals court. So it's serious.
A Trump appointee.
Yes. So now it goes to SCOTUS.
Oh, yes. God knows how they're going to rule on this one.
I think they do. Yeah, I don't really know what they're going to do. Scott. Old habits die hard.
It's okay.
María Corina Machado, who's of course the neoliberal darling, and to Donald Trump's credit, he was smart enough to say, okay, let's not repeat the mistake that we made with Hamid Karzai in Afghanistan and install someone that nobody in the country likes. She's so far right that when she was part of the right-wing coalition against the Chavistas in Venezuela, the right-wingers threw her out for being too far right. Okay, so she's really out there. Inexplicably, but not for the first time inexplicably, the Nobel Peace Prize went to her. God knows, a lot of the time what the fuck they're thinking. Anyway, she met with Donald Trump. She's so great, even though he didn't install her as new president. To thank him, she said, "Hey, have my Nobel." This is causing problems in Stockholm, in Oslo, where they're sort of saying, maybe we should be a little more careful who we give our Nobels to.
Yeah, maybe.
Honestly, Trump deserved it more than she did.
Well, she was fighting for free elections, which, you can be a right winger and still believe in free elections, which is what she was pushing for.
But that's not also a peace issue, is it?
Yeah, it was it was also a fuck you to Trump, wasn't it? If you recall, because Trump was doing, I got to hand it to the guy. He brokered a peace. It's tentative pieces, but there's still peace between, say, Cambodia and Thailand. The Gaza peace, which is now going into a second phase, which no one's really sure what that means. But there you have it. And he's been working hard trying to get a peace there between Ukraine and Russia. Mm-hmm. You got to respect that. And you got to respect the effort. But by turns, he's blowing up boats without due process, and he's invading countries and kidnapping their leaders. So that kind of,
and
one would think,
threatening close allies.
And threatening allies and invasion. So that's
really off the Canadians.
Did he? Yeah. How do you piss?
We're hard to piss off.
They are very hard to piss off. You just came back from Canada, and
they're
pissed off.
They're really pissed off. I mean, fortunately, they're smart enough not to not to personalize it like you're from America, therefore you're a bad person. That's not the case at all. Any American good can go to Canada these days. You'll be treated great. That's not. But they're pissed off at our government big time. They're boycotting our booze, which has had a major impact. Jim Beam had to stop production for the entire year, because the Canadians are no longer importing our bourbon. That's a problem.
It's amazing the lack, and it's also that's also tied to the amount of, or lack thereof, of drinking that people are doing nowadays. That about a year or two ago, we took a tour we went down the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky, and these people.
I've done that. So great.
It is great, but the manufacturers could not build what's called rick houses. That's where they store the barrels to age the bourbon. And they couldn't build these things fast enough. And now all of a sudden, I mean, what's the drop in alcohol consumption? 60%?
Yeah, it's off a cliff. Yeah, I mean, remember during the pandemic when liquor stores were classified, were allowed to remain open as an essential service? I was like, at that time, I was like, God bless America.
Yeah, well, we were going to drown the COVID germs in alcohol.
I did my part. Vermicious Nids wants to know, what's the likelihood that some of the large popular YouTube channels are CIA intelligence backed or sponsored? Sure, a lot of quote unquote ex-CIA channels toting agency lines. # free Kiriakou. Well, I'm going to try to remember that question for John. But I think that's a really valid point, right? Like ex-CIA, right? Ted, have I watched John's appearance on JRE? If so, what do I think about his sucking up to this administration? First of all, I didn't see it, so I can't comment on that. If John sucks up to this administration, considering that he's up for a pardon from this administration, I, for one, will help him suck up to this administration. I want John to get his pardon. He needs it. He deserves it. He never should have been imprisoned or sentenced in the first place. The dude deserves a ticker tape parade down Broadway. So, look, it sucks when you have to, but also John does call it as it is, and he's been right here criticizing this administration a lot more than he ought to be, given his current situation, waiting for a pardon. That's my take on that. EOL43, maybe a few cartoonists should update Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail into an updated graphic novel, A Midterm Race to the Bottom. I don't know about the midterm thing, but I do think that Fear and Loathing could be updated.
That'd be fun.
Would be fun.
Which one of us would take the drugs, Ted? I'm really.
I don't like drugs. That would have to be you. You have more experience in that field than I do.
I do.
Not that you're doing it now. I'm just saying in the past, in the distant past,
in the very distant past. Let's be clear.
That's true.
This. Yeah. No, I did.
Even in my very distant past, my experience with drugs is highly limited.
I experimented. Don't you?
I love it. I can't even say that I experimented. It's kind of like.
Don't you love it when elected officials say that? Yeah, I was young and I was experimenting with drugs. What, you had a lab. You were the control group. What?
Exactly. Let's see what happens here. Frasmataz, Scott, you mentioned a Proud Boy ICE connection. Did you see former head of the group Enrique Tarrio was one of the names listed in the recent leaks?
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me in the least. You can look at these guys.
Yeah, Scott, you were early on talking about this.
I said because I see things, with my eyes. As Ted says, I know what I see what I see, and I hear what I hear. There's a picture of an ICE raid out of Chicago, and the guy was literally wearing a souvenir T-shirt from a Texas Rangers baseball game as part of his uniform. And I sent this to the editor there I work with at the Trib, and they were like, yeah, we kind of noticed that too. And you just got to go, are you going to do a story on it? We're not sure we have the. I'm like, oh my God, if there's a story in this country, that's a story.
It's a massive story.
Yes. And it's not being covered. And in fact,
I think you're right. I want to know, here's the thing, they're wearing masks. I want to know who the fuck they are, because we are paying their salaries. They're U.S. government employees. And if they're law enforcement officers, I mean, you could get a list of every employee of the New York Police Department if you're in the press. Why can't I get a list of every ICE employee?
The state of Illinois passed a law that you cannot, if you're law enforcement, you cannot cover your face
Yes.
unless it's for a gas mask.
But of course,
other
ICE is
protection.
ignoring that.
Well, yeah, they're fighting it like crazy. They're going through the courts now, and so to your point, yeah, I called this, and so early that we know what these guys are. Look, what next time you see pictures or video from an ICE raid, even with the Renee Good videos, you can see there are no uniforms. These guys show up with what they bought at Duck Empire,
which is weird, which is very strange to me. Yeah, like Dick's Sporting Goods, right? Like I don't understand why. I mean, this is a big opportunity for grift and contracting. Like, why not like throw out some contracts and say,
yeah,
we need 20,000 uniforms and tactical gear. Maybe they just I assume it's because they're ramping up so fast. They just don't have time, and they're like, "Hey, when you're done with your high school GED ceremony, get your ass over to the sporting goods store, report for duty for your 2-week training, and we'll put a gun in your hand. You can go out and kill some brown people."
Yeah, they couldn't get uniforms, but they can get the guns to them. So that's there you go.
I mean, okay, so this one's from me. Why am I so Aaron Arnold? Why am I so insulting to Southerners? I make it sound like we're still in the early 1860s as opposed to the late 1860s. So first of all, I apologize if that's how I come across. Scott, you are a Southerner in a manner of speaking. Yeah. Robbie is definitely a Southerner. And I love, some of my best friends are literally Southerners. So I was talking about hillbillies. And by the way, hillbillies are not just from the South. Okay. I'm from Ohio, and trust me, there are hillbillies in Ohio.
Well, you're former senator and now vice president.
Well, he's a fake hillbilly. But
faux Billy.
He's a faux Billy. I mean, for sure. I'm as much of a hillbilly as he is. He's from Middletown, Ohio. Okay. Which is called Middletown because it's halfway between Cincinnati and Dayton. Okay. And it's literally southwestern Ohio, well north of the Mason-Dixon line, not in Kentucky. It's Rust Belt. It's where like the GE plant is. And that's where he's from. Now, I'm from about 20 miles north of there. I'm from Kettering, south of Dayton. Now, we're from the same place. My place looks more suburban, but it's a suburb to a Rust Belt shithole, Dayton. Same thing. We're the same. I know his story, right? He and I are both very similar. We studied hard in school. We got scholarships to go to Ivy League schools, and we never looked back except when he saw the opportunity to become governor. He decided to go and do that.
Senator.
Senator. My apologies.
Governor, you actually have to work.
But yeah. So anyway, Vance he's a faux Billy. Anyway, these are hillbillies. These ICE guys, they're fucking hillbillies. And there's lots of extremely well-educated Southerners. Southerner and hillbilly is not the same thing. Okay. That's all I'm trying to say.
We accept your apology.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to do better, though. I can always do better. Glass and candy. Trump already revived the Monroe Doctrine with Venezuela. Him invoking manifest destiny, sadly, is not so surprising. He models himself after Jackson, for sure.
I think he models himself after late 19th century Republicans like McKinley. Although McKinley kind of fought against like entering the Spanish-American War, for instance. He thought
I was going to say, stupid. Though, I agree with the poster because it's like, I mean, Jackson's whole shtick was, do what you want, and it's easier to beg forgiveness than to ask permission. That was always his shtick. Look at how he acquired the Floridas, as it was called.
I know. I just love that he just went. They said, no, you got to stay away from it. That's Spain. We don't want any trouble. Just stay. And Jackson's like, fuck you.
We've got 2 minutes left. So we'll take one, we'll do one topic and we'll do one comment. I will, the Phrasmataz, possibly difficult question for me and Scott. How does it feel from the right and the left, looking back on those Nazi Ruby Ridge type people who popularized terms like Zog?
Well, I never liked them. I fought like crazy. I can tell you throughout my entire career up to the recent times that people would say, the Republicans are a bunch of Nazis. And, they'd throw all that stuff at me. And I'd say, well, the reason I became a conservative was because I thought conservative thought, a rising tide raises all boats, that it really was beneficial. It was a much better model to help everybody. And I know a lot of Republicans and a lot of conservatives felt exactly the same way. However, there was an element of the party that we kind of kept in the, up in the attic, the crazy uncle up in the attic. Well, the crazy uncle now owns the house. He got it. He was in the will and he runs the place. It breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart that a party and an idealism that I gave up 40 years career to have completely sold out and gone towards the dark side. And I can't speak for Ted, but I can tell you that that's how I'm feeling.
Well, there's no time for me to say anything here, which I'm sure comes as a relief to many people. But also, so in the few seconds we have left, ceasefire in Israel, board of peace. Thoughts, Scott? I personally think it's ridiculous. I mean, there's not a ceasefire. They're still killing people.
Well, but I do appreciate the effort. I mean, I like that. And if I'm going, let's leave on a up note on something, a positive thing I can say about Donald Trump, and that is that he seems to be against wars unless he's,
starting them.
Yeah.
Unless he's starting them. All right. We have to leave that there. Please have a great weekend. Scott, thanks so much for filling in for John. John Kiriakou will be back Monday along with me here at 9 a.m. Eastern time. He will be back here. And we're here Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Please stay tuned for the TMI show with me and Manila Chan coming up right now. And please check out the DMZ America podcast. Scott and I just dropped our thoughts about Dilbert cartoonist Scott Adams yesterday. It was a great conversation, and I really encourage everybody to check it out. Bye, Scott. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later.